We believe in creating happy, healthy, natural, resilient individuals that thereby extend to resilient and restored families. We're all about serving families here at the Michigan Family Wellness Clinic. And another purpose that we value and that we love is equipping these people with natural, practical applications to elevate their lifestyle so that you can do what you want to do when you want to do it and be fully resilient, to have that strength to adapt to the challenges and the stress in your life. Good morning. My name is Dr. Kyle Wallner. This is the Michigan Family Wellness Clinic, and we are all about equipping families with resiliency and restoration to elevate their lifestyle. These are the Facebook Live Thursday morning webinars, and I want to welcome you to part 2 of Neurology and Real Food Nutrition. So let's just give everyone a couple moments to sync up with us here, to join on, whether you're joining us live. Good morning, Alicia. It's so nice to see you. And whether you're watching on the replay, we are all about helping you guys, so feel free, post your questions in the comment section below. This is powerful, this is relevant when we hear back from you guys. There's so much information out there. I have gone to all the postgraduate seminars, I have distilled and filtered the information, and I am delivering it to you guys in a very packaged, understandable, methodical presentation. And again, the whole purpose is to empower, to equip, and to inspire you guys with efficient, effective, and sustainable wellness methods to help you live well. Furthermore, the two primary things that we use, I should say 3 really, the tools that we use here at the Family Wellness Clinic are the chiropractic adjustment, those artful, specific, conservative tuning of your central nervous system. So that's number 1, the chiropractic adjustment. The second thing is nutritional medicine. Our cells, our gut, our brain, we have to have 1, proper signaling, and 2, proper food, nutrients, and medicine if we're going to make those major steps towards resiliency, towards restoration, and towards vitality. Arguably, the third thing that we use is functional neurology. So exercises that you guys can do at home for your nerves to help train your body, to train your brain back to health. So before we get started with our presentation here this morning, our part 2, how have you guys been doing with your functional neurology exercises? I wanted to check in. So if you can remember, our vagus nerve functional neurology exercises. So, do we remember what those are? Those are the humming, that's right. Those are the gargling with water. Okay, there's also the gag reflex, all right? And that is a great place to start, okay? So if you can really build those in as part of your daily routine, okay, depending on the case, this is what I tell my patients, depending on the case, these need to become part of your daily, your weekly rhythm if you're going to get the results that you're looking for, if they're going to be effective, all right? You talk about the person that wants to lose 20 pounds by exercising once for 20 minutes, not going to happen. You have to be consistent, you have to be congruent with these simple fundamentals. So I want to encourage you and empower you guys to add in those gargling exercises, to add in a little bit of a gag reflex every now and then. Obviously, before you have a meal, not right after you have a meal, because you don't want to revisit that food you just ate. All right, but those simple exercises can be so powerful. Again, what's the purpose? For tuning the vagus nerve, for increasing parasympathetic tone. All right? So, having said that, let's go ahead and jump into our split screen here this morning. Once again, as always, we do not have enough time to cover absolutely everything, so I highly encourage you guys to sync up with us on the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast for your iPhone and for your Android. Furthermore, we are having a Women's Fall Cleansing event at the office here at the Michigan Family Wellness Clinic, at the end of this month, October 25th at 6:30. So we're going to be going over the benefits, the value, the reason why you want to do a cleanse, especially for the women in the community, especially for everyone that takes care of us, has those cultivating, nurturing aspects to their lives. They are often forgotten, and so we value those people in the community. That's why we want to equip them with this knowledge on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 detoxification, and why right now is such a great time. We're just coming off of the summer. We've had all of our grad parties, all of our weddings, all of our backyard barbecues. Our guts have taken a major hit, a major toll. So now is a great time to do a metabolic detoxification, a metabolic reset, so that when we go into the holidays, as we all know, we're going to be doing Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of the social events here at the end of the year, and that also takes a big hit. So why not prepare your gut, prepare your metabolism now, so that when you come to New Year's, you're already one step ahead of the game. You can actually be more consistent with your New Year's resolution. So again, October 25th at 6:30 here at the clinic. This is where we left off last week. So I want to encourage you guys, if you have not done so already, check out part 1 of our talk here, and that'll really equip you for the context by which we're approaching our discussion here today. But again, our gut plays a major role in our functional health, okay? Dysbiosis, all right, let's go over some terms. Dysbiosis, or the imbalance in our gut microbiome, is a really big deal. Our gut is responsible for making neurotransmitters. We're going to talk a lot about neurotransmitters today, okay? So when we have an imbalance in our gut microbiome, that can lead to a condition called dysbiosis, okay? A major symptom of dysbiosis is if you have a difficult time standing on one leg and you don't have good proprioception, all right? You're not able to maintain that good balance for at least a few moments, okay? Another symptom of dysbiosis is chronic abdominal pain, pain after you eat, especially a couple hours after you eat, fatigue, brain fog. All of these things are fundamental symptoms of microbiome imbalance, gut dysbiosis, okay? As you can see here, 1/3 of our gut microbiota is common to most people, while 2/3 are specific to each one of us. In other words, the microbiota in your intestine is like an individual identity card, all right? Let me expound on this further. We have our valve down here, okay? Think of your gut as having 4 quadrants, okay? You've got lower right, upper right. You've got upper left, lower left, okay? In the lower right quadrant, let me see if I can demonstrate that properly. In the lower right quadrant down here is your ileocecal valve, okay? It's right above the appendix, all right? This valve is responsible for making sure that the gut bacteria, those good microbes and the bad ones, stay in the large intestine, okay? When that valve becomes dysfunctional, then that bacteria, those microbes, can seep into the small intestine, and there is the etiology of SIBO or SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, okay? So, why does this matter? From a chiropractic perspective, we can assess whether or not this valve is an issue through functional neurological muscle testing, all right? Again, dyskinesis, just another definition here. If you've heard of dyskinesis, that is a condition where neurologically your brain is not communicating with your body in the proper way or in the expected way, okay? So again, we use functional muscle testing, neuromuscular, brain-nerve muscle connections to evaluate and to assess these conditions, all right? So let's move along here. Here are some great examples of good bacteria and bad bacteria, okay? I highly, highly, highly recommend supplementing with a good probiotic. Okay, if you guys have questions about probiotics, please message me. There is so much to talk about here. It could be its own presentation all on its own. All right, but I want you guys to notice how, as you can see here in the orange, H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori, and this guy over here, this is even hard for me to say, Methanobrevibacter smithii, is a pathogenic bacteria. These are the bugs that we don't want in our system, okay? But the Bifidobacterium, the Bifidobacterium longum, the Lactobacillus, those are the good bacterias, okay? And you can even go further down the rabbit hole and further into the research with this, especially with Alzheimer's, with fecal stool transplants, okay? There's a lot to talk about here. But what's very important is that you have a good diversity of the microbes in your gut. So here's the concept. If everyone is taking the same 5 or 6 probiotic strains, okay, is that really cultivating and nurturing a diverse microbiome? Well, arguably no, okay? So the whole idea is, it's not that you should take one probiotic for the rest of your life. It's that you should really rotate the probiotic that you use and make sure that they're very, very good, high quality, okay? There's a great video here, guys. I should really post this underneath in the comments for this webinar. But it talks about the importance of the genus, of the species, and the strain, okay? There are clinical applications to all three. Okay, so if you have issues of constipation, then we look at a specific genus, strain, and species. Okay, if we have symptoms of diarrhea, then again, there are probiotics that support a specific genus, strain, and species. Okay, the probiotics that you get off the Walmarts and the Krogers, and if you're down south where we used to live in St. Louis, the Schnucks, all of that, again, better than nothing. Okay, but we can do better. All right, we can elevate the clinical application of using probiotics here. And furthermore, fermented foods. We're going to mention this in the practical applications portion of this talk, but we need to be consuming high quality fermented foods, okay? So that's the main point here. Let's go ahead and move on. For the people that really want to see this on paper, this is our advanced intestinal permeability test, okay? Cyrex Laboratories is the most advanced testing that we offer here at the Family Wellness Clinic. This is blood testing, okay? This tests for the 2 types of leaky gut, okay? So there is transcellular leaky gut and there is paracellular leaky gut. Well, what does that mean, okay? This just basically means those tight junctions that are formed in the intestine, you can either have antigens or food or proteins like gluten going through in between the cells, or you can have those proteins and antigens actually piercing through the cells themselves, okay? So the piercing through option, as you can see here on your left, that's the transcellular, and the in between is the paracellular, okay? And we can actually test for this with blood testing, with advanced blood testing. These markers, we can actually measure them on paper on purpose, okay? This often doesn't change the treatment. This just shows the person that, yes, you have this, and we can measure it, and then we can also measure it again after the treatment, okay? So, as Dr. George Goodhart said, measure, measure, measure. Always be measuring with your testing and with your analysis, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the brain here. In the same way that we can have leaky gut, we can also have leaky brain, okay? There is a blood-brain barrier. So in the same way that the gut is only supposed to let certain things through at certain sizes, the blood-brain barrier is the same way, okay? Harmful substances can actually pierce through the blood-brain barrier, especially if the barrier is compromised, okay? Here's the main take-home point. A condition, an environment of leaky gut can influence and encourage an environment of leaky brain. Likewise, an environment of leaky brain can influence and encourage an environment of leaky gut. Okay? So for example, what does this look like clinically? You have someone that has head trauma or a concussion, all right, or they really hit their head, or perhaps people that have taken a major fall when they were a kid and they really hit their head. That concussion can then manifest itself with gut symptoms, okay, with Crohn's, with ulcerative colitis, with all these different ulcers, things of that nature, okay? You can have gut symptoms. In the same way, if you start with the gut, okay, if you start with a condition of Crohn's, UC, celiac, anything like that, those conditions can lead to and encourage insomnia, cognitive issues, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, all right? One can begot the other, okay? That's the main take-home point here, all right? So, again, how do we measure? How do we test for leaky brain, okay? A cheap and easy way to do this is by actually getting a nutritional supplement called GABA. Okay, GABA is a neurotransmitter. The size of GABA is actually too big to cross the blood-brain barrier. So, if someone ingests or takes GABA, okay, and then they have any effect, whether it be the expected relaxing effect or if it's a paradoxical effect of hyperactivity, that is a positive test for leaky brain, because GABA is too big to go through the barrier, all right? What you want, if the blood-brain barrier is not breached, then that means there's no response, okay? So that's a great way. That's called the GABA challenge, okay? The other way to test for this is, again, with Cyrex, very advanced, very expensive blood testing that you can do to measure blood-brain barrier protein, IgG and IgA combined, okay? So for the people that want to see it on paper and actually look at this stuff and then measure, we have that available for them. All right, just a little bit of comic relief here because I know this stuff is heavy. What are we doing tonight, brain? The same thing we do every night. We try to take over the world. A little brain reference. All right. So here's another questionnaire. Feeling that the bowels don't completely empty. Constipation, diarrhea. Difficulty with navigation or directions. That's a hippocampus issue. All right. This is often a candida issue, coated tongue or fuzzy debris on the tongue. Memory noticeably declining. Difficult time remembering names, numbers, and places. Okay, all of these are brain symptoms. Harder to learn new things, high stress level. Never have time for yourself. Sharing your problems or issues with life with someone else is difficult to do that, so vulnerability. Feelings of inner rage or paranoia, feel like you are not enjoying life. More susceptible to pain or allodynia, pain from a non-painful stimulus. Feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, feeling tired even after several hours of sleep, isolating yourself from others, inability to finish tasks, decreased libido, and losing your temper easily. These are all brain-related issues that, with these conservative therapies that we're going to talk about, can be relieved, okay? So let's talk more about gluten for a moment. If you've seen any of these webinars before, or if you've joined up with us before, you'll know that our weak digestive function is in conjunction with our bad gluten proteins, the main reasons why we have a lot of the chronic digestive issues and a lot of the sensitivity that we see with respect to gluten today, okay? Our patients that go over to Europe, our patients that travel to Australia, the ones that are sensitive here to the food in the U.S., when they travel internationally, the observation is, though, a lot of those symptoms go away, okay? Now, that being said, that's not for everyone, all right? But these symptoms of cerebellar ataxia, okay, losing your balance when you eat those breads, those muffins, and, those baguettes, it's a reaction to, it's an immune response to the gluten, which is also attacking other tissues in your body, like the cerebellum, okay? So the mechanism here is your immune system sees the gluten protein, and then it also sees tissues in your body that look similar to gluten, and it attacks those tissues as well, okay? This is a phenomenon called molecular mimicry or cross-reactivity. And this is huge. This is major, major, major. Okay? As you can see here above the blue line, the gluten protein structure, the amino acid sequence, is very similar to the cerebellar sequence of our brain, our cerebellum, okay? Controls balance and proprioception. So that's why many people, after they have their white bread, they feel vertigo-ness. That's not a word. They feel dizzy. They have trouble losing their balance. They may have symptoms of vertigo, okay? Because their immune system is seeing that gluten protein, but it's also attacking the protein of their cerebellum, okay? So that's why going gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, highly recommended, especially for people who are sensitive or who have food allergies, but also people with Hashimoto's, people that are low thyroid, okay? So we have to watch what we put in our mouths. The things that we put at the end of our fork can be some of the most powerful medicines, or they can be some of the most powerful things that hurt our bodies, okay? Let's just look at a couple other things here. I'm not going to go into the discussion on MS and strep. We do that a lot, and we got a lot to cover. So let's keep moving on here. More bacteria that help with our neurotransmitters, okay? So again, we talk about dopamine, norepinephrine, GABA, serotonin, acetylcholine, okay? There are specific bacteria that help produce these neurotransmitters. In addition to this, we also need to have good protein consumption, all right? So one of the first questions that I ask someone after they tell me that they're having difficulty sleeping, whether that be falling asleep or staying asleep, is, are you having good quality protein with your dinner? Okay, because you need those amino acids to synthesize the neurotransmitters. Okay, most of our serotonin is made in our gut. All right, so not only do we have to have good Enterococcus bacteria, all right, and Streptococcus, but we also need to have good branched chain amino acids to be able to synthesize those neurotransmitters. All right. Again, the main four neurotransmitters that we look at clinically are acetylcholine, serotonin, GABA, and dopamine. Okay? So again, tyrosine is the amino acid that produces dopamine. Glutamate produces GABA. Okay, we can talk all about that more in depth too. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Tryptophan produces serotonin. Okay? That's why when we have our Thanksgiving dinner, that turkey, all of that tryptophan produces a lot of serotonin, which makes us drowsy, okay? And then, of course, we need, the great thing about acetylcholine is that it is the most abundant neurotransmitter, okay? So, for example, acetylcholine helps us in every part of our body. It's in our brain, it's in our gut, it's in our skeletal system. We get choline, the amino acid choline, from eggs, okay? So that's why acetylcholine is so important. The other part of acetylcholine, which we're going to talk about in a second here, that might be the last thing we address here, is that it is a unique neurotransmitter. So let me pause that thought there. One more thing about serotonin. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, okay, they hijack our brain. Okay, so it's not that I'm anti-drug. We do need the pharmaceuticals, the SSRIs, and all that, but ideally for a short period of time. Okay, long-term dependence on these cognitive drugs can lead to a dependence on them. All right, which we don't want. All right, I'm seeing more and more people in their 20s and 30s on these cognitive drugs, and they're in their 20s and 30s, which is crazy because what's the long-term plan? Are we going to be taking this for the next 40, 50 years of our lives? Ideally, no. So how do we prevent a dependence upon this? All right? So the SSRI is going to cause your body to make less of its own serotonin, and it's going to downregulate the receptors for serotonin. Okay? So What does that mean? All right, so our bodies have receptors for all of these neurotransmitters. Okay, check out this picture down here. All right, bottom right. You have the receptors and the neurotransmitters in between. Okay, so step one, make the neurotransmitter. Step two, the receptors have to receive the neurotransmitter. Okay, so we need both healthy synthesis and healthy reception. Okay, when people try to get off their benzodiazepine or get off their SSRI, they go through withdrawal symptoms because their body's like, where is this neurotransmitter? Like, where is it? There's not enough of it. The receptor, everything is out of balance. Okay, so that's why you have to be very, very careful when you're working with someone that's taking these kinds of medications. Okay, there are things that we can do naturally to help baby step someone off these medications, but we have to go very, very slow and be very, very, very careful. Okay? Let's talk just a little bit more. I'm going to skip over this complex mechanism here. I want to address homotrophic modulation as the final thing to leave you guys with this morning. Okay? This is specific to acetylcholine. Okay? So, sensitization to neurotransmitters. Think of it this way, all right? If you're familiar with type 2 adult onset diabetes, all right, most people are, okay? So there is a downregulation of the insulin receptors, the insulin sensitivity, okay? The thing about acetylcholine is that it does not get sensitized, okay? Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, they all behave completely differently than acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is unique. Okay, so we can encourage the synthesis and the receptor sensitivity of acetylcholine all day long because we're not going to develop a sensitization. Okay, so this is very good clinically, especially for people that have trouble concentrating, remembering names and numbers, remembering where they are, how they got there, their map in their head. Acetylcholine is a big deal, especially with math. People that struggle with numbers and math, this is a major deal because acetylcholine is the primary neurotransmitter in all of those mechanisms, okay? We're not going to talk about phenylalanine and PKU, okay? That's an inability to break down phenylalanine, all right? But clinically, we do look at huperzine, which is a MOS, and galantamine, which is the medication, the pharmaceutical medication, which can increase vagal tone by enhancing acetylcholine receptor function. Okay? So, having said that, let's just go back here a little bit. All right, so I want to thank everyone for tuning in with us, whether you're here on the live or on the replay. Like I said, post your questions and comments and your feedback in the comment section below. We highly value those feedbacks because that's what makes this real, raw, and relevant. Okay? Again, check up with us, sync up with us on your iPhone and your Android with the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast. And one more time here. We have our Women's Fall Cleansing event on October 25th, and we are very excited to go through the benefits and value of cleansing for the women in our lives. Thank you so much, Alicia. You are absolutely welcome. It is a pleasure and an honor to serve in this way. I love leveraging technology like this. It is absolutely fantastic. So once again, in closing, we are all about equipping individuals with strength to adapt. We call that resiliency. We are all about serving individuals with restoration. Okay, these are the things that we value to create and cultivate and nurture happy, healthy, and thriving families. That's what we're all about here at the Michigan Family Wellness Clinic. And the primary ways we do that are through the artful, specific, and powerful chiropractic adjustments combined with the nutritional medicine, so that you guys can do exactly what you do, exactly when you want to do it, without feeling like your body is holding you back. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar this morning. My name is Dr. Kyle. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.